Well guys, welcome back to the stream, welcome to the channel, and welcome to the final episode working on the Gundam, the RX-93 Ver edition. So, hit it, Maestro. Alright guys, this is going to be the final episode. We have it completely assembled and all the decals are on it, and basically I'm just going to be doing some weathering. I had briefly thought about assembling it completely to see what it looks like and then disassemble it for painting, but seeing as a lot of the pieces fit so tightly together, it's really difficult to get them apart again. And I actually did break one little piece off and I had to glue it on. It's glued on there now, and I'm not going to take that off. There were a couple of other little tiny pieces, like on his hip here, that they just didn't want to stay on. There's just not enough of a pressure fit to keep it together. And so when you tip it over, you maybe tap it a little bit and it would fall off. So there were a couple of these little yellow things here and there that I just needed to glue them together. Also, there was this one little surround bit on his backpack that just didn't want to stay on, and it kept dropping off every time I manipulated it in some way. The thing would fall off. So I decided in the end I am gluing it on, and yeah, so I glued this piece right here that's glued on there. Right, and I decided, you know what, since I'm gluing that one on, I'll glue this one on also. This thing ain't never going to be coming apart for any reason, so yeah, fine, it's glued together. So anyway, that's his backpack. So we're going to do some weathering. I did want to do a little bit of some chipping effects around a few little areas, like on his hands, maybe a couple of spots on his gun, on his beam saber. As you notice, I have his hand attached to the gun. Let me do something with my blinds here. A little bit better. Yeah, a little bit around his hands, a little bit of chipping going on. I don't want to really go crazy and go doing like rust. I want him to have that look that he's been, you know, he's had some stuff, he's been through some stuff, you know, but not that he's been through so much for so long that it's actually rusting, right? So again, I already did his shield. I did his shield. It's basically the panel liner, this stuff here, the AK interactive panel liner for gray and blue. Happens to work really well on the white also, because I don't want to go black. Black is too much of a contrast, so we're going with this kind of a grayish, it's kind of a dark gray, for lack of a better term. And so it looks good on the shield. You can't really see it. Let me change the camera here. There's the effects on the shield. Let me actually do this real quick here so that we can do this, and so I can show you a little better. Okay, a little bit better, a little closer up, and actually focus on the shield. You can see it's a little bit washed out because of my really bright light. But you can see the panel lining on there and all that. As I back up and it's not so saturated, you can see the little scuff marks here and there that I've left to give it a little bit of wear on there, especially up top here. You can see that, right? So yeah, so that's that. So that's the intention. That's what I'm going to be doing. Let's get my focus back here. Where'd my mouse go? There we go. Focus, please. We're done with that. Thank you. There we go. Okay. So, let's get to it. I'm going to shake this up, get her all nice and going. And that good stuff. And hello there, Mega Boy. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to use this stuff. Put that down there. Get this shaken up. Okay, so we can use a small brush, we can use a brake brush, it doesn't really matter too much. We'll choose this guy because a lot of it's going to be cleaned up. but at the same time, a lot is not. So let's start with his head. I do want to kind of get these guys out of the way, because when it comes to actually getting in that smudging effect, I don't want his little horns to be getting in the way. There we go. Whoops. So under there, a little bit of prying action. Pull that off. Put that aside. Where'd that other piece go? Okay, so those are safely aside. So this, I'm going to be using it as a panel liner and as a little thing to actually do some of these effects, like his little guns that are in the top of his head here. To add to the detail. So basically just going around all the lines, and yeah, we're going to clean this up, but for now it's going to be looking like really exaggerated cartoon lines, and that's okay. That's fine. That looks good. We'll do maybe a little bit like this on here. We can clean that up later. It doesn't have to look really great right now. Let's go with, so I've already done his beam rifle. I have not done his bazooka yet. So let's get in a few little lines on here. I did do a little bit of chipping on this, but I haven't done anything else really. Do that panel line. Also do this. Now that sticks out like that, so we can actually use that to our advantage and do this kind of thing, as if we've got some streaking going on from it being slid in and out. A little bit more on here. Got a panel line going all the way around here. The beauty of this stuff, you don't have to be super neat with it, right? You can be, if you're a little bit messy or a little bit sloppy, that's perfectly fine. Okay, let's find some panel lines here. Now if you load up a lot on the brush, you can just kind of tap in it. But I don't really load up a lot on the brush, so I just kind of draw the lines, as shaky as I might be. And of course my brush is not the most precision. But again, the beauty of this particular panel liner, one of the things that makes it so great is how nicely it cleans up. So even though I've got these lines, these are already there, still can draw them out, do some fake rough things, any kind of smudges. I can do like a smudge like that and just leave that, and when I clean that up later, I can choose either how much or how little to take off of that. So all kinds of little panel details everywhere on this thing. Little panels that stick out, little things that jut out everywhere. Little things like that right there. Anywhere that you've got a little panel that sticks out and is like three-dimensional, you can basically take your brush and draw around it right on that crease, and that's where you're going to go with. I'm basically filling in these lines. So I'm going to do the legs first and get them finished. Then I'll clean them up and move on to other parts of his body. This leg is going to get a little dose right here. Just like that. He's getting 2 lines. And up on his knee, I think his knee should have a scrape going down like that. Maybe this one too. Just like that. Why not? Put a couple of dots there. I'm going to show that there's been some smudges, some things going on. We don't know what, because we weren't there when it happened. This is just showing the after effects of all that good stuff. Put another smudge there, why not? Okay, let's move around to the back of his legs. Okay, so there's his back. And we've got all those thrusters and all this good stuff. We've got nothing else going on in the panels, but I want to do something there. I'm going to do something on this one on the outside, why not? We've got some panel lines on these thruster fins. And we've got a panel line going around this one. That. Same deal on this side. And this paint is thin enough that it would run through the panel line if that's what I wanted to do. I'll show you guys here. Got it on the brush, but just tap. Well, it doesn't want to run in that line, whatever. You know what I was trying to do and what I was trying to show you. Just didn't want to cooperate. We've got 2 little lines here and here, here and here. Okay. Alright, so with that, I'm going to clean up these parts of the legs now. I'm going to do another little slouch right there. Little smudge, little smudging. Ooh, I forgot to do these. Sometimes I forget these things are 3-dimensional. I don't have any here, so let's do one there. There. Okay. So, I'm just going to clean my brush real quick while I do this. Put the lid back on this so I don't accidentally spill it, because that would really suck. Just clean this. Okay. I don't need it super clean because I am going to be using it pretty quick here. Okay, what do you clean it with? You clean it with white spirit. Okay. Now what I like to do is find a corner of my cloth and I will just kind of dip a Q-tip in the white spirit and just put a little bit on the cloth to make the cloth just a little bit wet, but not really. Okay. Okay. I don't want it super wet. I don't want it cleaning it up super well. So we'll start with his head. Okay. The head's where we started, right? So all I want to do is just very lightly do this. I don't mind if I leave a bit of a smudge. Now I can clean the smudges away completely with the white spirits if I want, but I want to give that appearance of dirt. He's dirty. He's been used. He's not brand new. He's not fresh off the assembly line. If that makes sense. So you see I'm leaving a bit of that smudge. Where I want to get in and actually clean a panel line, I can do that with the edge. Other places where I want to leave a bit of dirt and smudge, dirt and grime, this allows me to do that. I don't want it looking super fresh and brand new. Okay, I can get in there with my fingernail to really get in those lines and those creases and cracks. And in a situation where you can't get in quite clean enough, that's where your Q-tip comes in, and you can do that. And you can just really clean it up. Okay, so in places where it's hard to get in, if you really want to clean it, you can do that and get in there. Okay, nice thing about the Q-tip is that you can use that to your advantage to not get too close into those creases, and you can clean that up as clean or as dirty as you want. And that's the beauty of this stuff. You can leave them having a clean face or a dirty face. It's really, really up to you. You see, I got one gun that's nice and dirty and one that's clean. And I don't like that. I don't want one dirty and one clean. I want it all the same. You see, I'm putting just a little bit of smudge. The nice thing about the Q-tip is you can smudge other places where you didn't even have any in the first place. And he's looking pretty good right now, I think. I'm kind of happy with the way he's looking. Nice dirty face on him. I like the detail on this gun. This one's a little too clean. It looks like the gun didn't fire or something. So I'm gonna have to come back to that. And this line along here is a little too harsh for my liking. I want to get in there and clean that a bit more. Kind of really get in there and clean it. That's better. Yeah, that's looking good. That's a good start. Okay, let's go to his bazooka. I want to streak these a little bit, make them look a little bit nicer. Clean up that panel line there. Just do a little bit of cleanup here. I don't mind leaving a little bit of the smudge. That's all right. Not a problem. Clean up this line here. If you have a hard time, if you find that the paint is really starting to like not work for you, then you can always reapply some of the white spirits to your cloth or to your Q-tip and go from there. Again, how clean or how dirty you want is totally up to you. I kind of like that this is left a little bit dirty on this one. It kind of shows, hey, there's some kind of, maybe there's some grease in there that to allow that sliding action, and it's maybe leaked. It's not a perfect seal. Maybe somebody put a little too much grease in there and over greased it. Who knows, right? We don't know the full history of everything that goes on, and that's kind of the cool part of it. Alright, so I think his bazooka is done, except I have to add some, we're going to get to that. We're going to add some pigments in there. Let's get to the legs. We're going to start from the feet up and let's start getting in there and cleaning this up. Again, it's how much or how dirty or how clean as you want it. It's totally up to you. Spots like this I can't get in with my cloth, so I come in with my Q-tip, reactivate that paint, and now I can smear it around. Beauty. Okay. Let's get in here and clean that up. See, I'm not pressing very hard. It's pretty light. Okay? And I'm kind of wiping in the same direction I think that the smudges would come in. And see, now I've just added in that little bit of a stain. We don't know why that got stained like that, but there's a stain. It's a smudge. It's dirty. Again, we don't know why. And once again, if at the end of the day you're not happy with the way that's coming out and the way that's looking, then you just add a little bit of white spirit and you wipe it off. The white spirit reactivates the paint, and you have a clean canvas again to start over. It's all up to you. I like the fact that it kind of stays behind and makes the white not quite so white. It makes it look a little bit more lived in and believable and realistic. Just that little bit looks like real life, you know, not perfect, and that's good. Let's deal with his fins. These were the fins on the back. Again, if you're not happy with it, you want it a little cleaner, add a little bit of white spirit to your cloth or your Q-tip, whatever you're using. And you can clean it up cleaner. If you just want super crisp panel lines and you're not going for anything else, no other look, then that's what you do. So there we go. That's one leg done, or at least one lower leg anyway. Let's get in here and do this. Get that one done. These lines done. Okay. Start here. We're getting there. Almost done. There we go. Okay. Bottom parts of the legs are done. So as I said, and as I've mentioned a few times already, I'm not going for a crazy weathered look. I just want a little bit of smudges. I want the panel lines obviously to pop. But I'm not too concerned about getting a whole bunch of grime and grunge and that kind of look. And I definitely don't want. It's really coming together. Looks almost finished. Thanks, Yuala. Yes, it is almost done. This is going to be the final episode in this particular build before we move on to something completely different. Something that I don't do very often on my channel. In fact, I've only done once before, and yeah, there we go. Now she's traveling in the line. See, it's just a matter of getting the paint on there. to get it to actually flow in the lines. I usually wind up painting it in the lines, but why did I do that streak? Because I felt like it. I'll do two. Why not? Panel lines on this little skirt should be interesting. Bandai does do a good job at molding all their panel lines fairly visible and solid. Oh, I got a decal that's wanting to come off. That's interesting. It's probably going to come off when I wipe it. That's okay, it's not the end of the world. One decal comes off, that's fine. I don't think it's the end of the world if a decal comes off. If it's something like the big one up top here, which actually looks like it might want to. That might be a testament to the age of the kit. Sometimes decals lose their adhesiveness over time. So, if you do want to add some other little things, like maybe rust stains or some kind of effect like that, there's always that option. You don't have to use this particular color. If you're going for an older look, then that's always possible. Again, it's all up to you. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to see all the detail in certain angles in the light of just where all your panel lines are. It takes a little bit of getting used to. Other times you get the right angle and you can see it perfect. And you see, that kind of sucks. See, this decal didn't adhere completely, and all of the paint just went underneath that decal and created its own imaginary shadow effect. And that kind of sucks, because that's going to be literally impossible to clean out of there. But there's nothing I can do about that. So, to make my life a little bit simpler, I am going to pull his body off. just for simplicity's sake. Yeah, there goes that decal, just like I thought. Now, if you're having a hard time, I could pull these skirts off and work on them individually. Ask me, why are you working on the panel you didn't even do any panel lining on? Well, because I'm adding some dirt and muck. See, I could just pull those right off. Okay, like that, and you can work on them separate that way, right? If things are getting in your way, or you're grabbing onto parts and getting like fingerprint smudges on them, well, remove them. Take them off of there. Work on them separate. Do other parts while you're working on it. Now you see, I got a lot of muck on this one, so just to clean it up, I just pick it a different spot on the cloth, and we're good to go. But I can also use the dirty part of the cloth to create dirt marks and stuff in other spots. Let's get to these parts of his legs here. We've got panel lines, all that good stuff. These are really loose, but that's not, I want that cleaner. There we go. The cleaner you want it, the easier it is. Again, it's not a big deal. Just get in there, clean as much or as little as you want. If you want lots of stains because you think it's been really used and abused and not really maintained that well, that's up to you. And you see I got a panel line there I forgot to do. So I'm pointing at it and you can't see it right there. I forgot to do that one. So, grab my brush, do that line. There we go. Now, anything else I want to do on here? Maybe I want to smudge over here. And yeah, I think that's good. And I notice there's a panel line here I need to do. And also on this side. Maybe let's do a little bit of a smudge on his back leg here. So maybe do a bit of a run here. Maybe there's some grease that constantly keeps flowing down there. Now, if you don't let it kind of dry for a minute, then when you wipe, you basically just wipe the whole thing clean. So you do have to leave it for a minute. Otherwise, you basically just wipe it all away. You don't really want to just clean it all off, right? I'm assuming. I am assuming. So there's his smudge on his foreleg there. I'm just going to do this and get this at an angle that I can work with, and do that. Just add a bit of a smudge there. Alright, now the back of his leg. going to go straight down, like that. Let's put this straight again. Straight down. And I'll leave it like that. Okay. There's his legs done. Okay, let's get back to these guys. These guys were pretty much done already. I just want to do a little bit of dirtiness there and there. Okay. Okay. This side. Clean that up. Again, missed a couple of panel lines. Yep. I got one of them on this side, but not this one. Okay. And as I thought, I've got paint underneath the decal that I cannot reach. There's nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it, so I'm not going to worry about it. There's no point in worrying about something I can't do anything about. Okay, there we go. So let's put these back on. One, two, three, four. Okay, here's his legs. I'll leave him like that so you guys can see while I'm working on his upper body. Okay, so we'll start around here. We'll work on that area. There's not a lot of actual panel lines in this section, and a lot of pieces are separate, so there's not a lot that I can actually do as far as actually running panel lines through to show the different areas. It's basically just going to be about getting in there to do the little cracks and crevices, and that's really all it's going to be. So let's move on to this arm while we're waiting for that to dry a little bit. I realize I'm doing that section of his arm that actually comes apart, but that's alright, because I want that illusion of separation in there. It's not really an illusion because it really is a separation, but the fact that it's there, I want it highlighted. His upper arm is not a lot of white to be able to highlight things, but it's okay. And these parts do have movable parts on them, so that can be a bit tricky to navigate also. Am I rambling? I feel like I'm rambling. I'm talking just for the sake of talking. Just so that there's actually some noise. Because my chat is always so quiet. Okay. So, we'll move back to the central body. I'm not really happy with that cleanup right there, so do this. Tight spaces like this can be a little bit tricky to clean up, but that's okay. Again, if it's not cleaning up to your liking, you can always add more white spirit to the cloth or your Q-tip, whatever you're using. If it's not coming clean, just add some more. You can leave it for a very long time without it really having any adverse effects. Always clean it up. That's kind of another nice, beautiful thing about this stuff is even the next day you can come back to it and clean it up. Okay, let's get some cleanup going here on his arms. Shoulder is a little bit loose. It makes it a little bit harder to get in these crevices and really clean it. Again, at any point, if it's like, you know what, this thing just looks too dirty, it's taken all the white away. It's taken all the white away. I'm not happy with it. I want to clean it better. I want it more white. That's your preference, and you can do that. And you can just grab the mineral spirits and you can clean it up. You can make this thing, make it as dirty or as clean as you want. It's really up to you. I want it to look dirty. I want it to look used. I don't want this thing looking like a brand new unit. And so, but at the same time, I don't want it looking brand new. I don't want it looking like it's been mistreated. So I am going to clean up some parts with a little bit more of a clean spot on the cloth to bring a little bit of that white back. Oh, don't break your wrist. Right? So you want to bring a little bit of that white back. You can. And if you want to just do a particular spot, that's also an option. Okay, let's bring his arm back to a normal position here. So you can see the difference, how, you know, this is a little bit dirty here, and that's spotless white, right? That's the biggest difference in all this. So let's get to work on his other arm. Now you notice I am focusing mostly on the white. You don't have to. You can do it on the other colors as well. Right? Like on the grays and even the yellows. The dark blue even if you wanted. Yes, even on the dark blue. Would it be noticeable on the dark blue? Well, probably not so much. But the option is there. I think that's just about it for detail. I think I will go boink boink on the yellow part. Okay, let's do his shoulder first. A little bit tough getting in here. There we go. Let's get across the top here. The front is kind of the crucial part because that's the part you're going to see the most. Right? Your display is where it's going to be done. See, I took a bit of that decal off right there. I'm not happy with that. But what can you do? The decal rips, the decal rips. And that's going to be about it. Just little touch-ups up in here. Let's get his shoulder back in place, and his arm and his hand. His arm's going to be like this. Little touch-ups in there. Okay, that is pretty much how he's going to go. Got a little bit up here I want to do before I say done. This little section up top here is going to be a challenge because it all kind of is really super tight space. But that is pretty much going to be it. Maybe I'll do a little smudge on his beam saber here. One last thing I forgot to do. I want to just do a little bit more in that little spot on his face. Yeah. Okay. Now for these in here, I'm going to have to use the Q-tip. Almost called a toothbrush. There we go. Okay, so as for weathering, I'm going to say this guy's done. We can put his body back together. There we go. Okay. He's got his body. We can reassemble his fins on his head. Actually, let's just do this real quick and clean that up. There we go. Put his fin little thing back on his head. Put this back on. There we go. Okay. We can give him his backpack back. There we go. We could give him his hand again. Assuming this will go in without any hiccups. All right, and he has a head again. Doink. There we go. That's him, guys. That's it. He's done. His hand's a little loose. I don't think I have it in there properly. Let me just double check here. Yeah, it's the piece is coming out just like that, and it's on the floor and I don't know where it went. I'm gonna have to get my flashlight, aka phone. Where did you go? I don't know where it ran off to. Okay, well, it wants to stay hidden from my sight. Found it. Okay, so let's get this lined up again. This is one of those things I wish was not a polycap in there. The way they've done this is not the most ideal thing. There we go. It's still really loose. and kind of sucks. It's a stupid loose fit. Let's try something different here. Okay, that's it. Again, it's not. There we go. There, nice and tight. All right, there he is. All done. Finished. Okay, so that's where I'm going to end this, guys. He's finished. Ta-da! He's done. So I am going to take a few pictures of this guy in some various poses, and I will upload them onto my Instagram, so you can check out the links down below, and you can see the pictures I take of this guy. If you want to see some better pictures and a little bit, you know, better quality than just looking at him like this, and you can see a little bit bigger. So I will upload those to my Instagram. You can check those out if you feel like it. You can also click on the link to go on my Twitch channel, and you can follow me on Twitch. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave comments down below if you feel like it, and I appreciate all the support and you guys are giving me. And yeah, we're gonna have a different project next time, moving on to different stuff, new things, and yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it for now. That's going to be it for this guy, and we will see you all in the next one.